Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Unstoppable Overcomers. I'm your host, Dorothy Odell. Tonight's sponsors of the show are Camaraderie Rescue Mission with our 6-month membership raffle, summer raffle. Definitely with this value of over $7,500. Your ticket today is only $100, and it helps our fund our veteran programs so that we can get our veterans help with their PTSD and help their fight with suicide. So go to www.tcrmi.org/shop to purchase your ticket today. As well, we also have Secrets in Depth by Dr. Joseph Terilee. He is definitely a Navy veteran, and he has wrote a book called Secrets in Depth. This book is filled with rich, detailed information on this gripping military factual thriller that shows the depths of darkness acquired after 3 decades of service. Definitely get your copy today on either Amazon or Barnes & Noble. With that, I have the distinct pleasure of bringing up to the stage here Terilee Harrison. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dorothy. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Well, we're excited to have you. This lady is absolutely amazing. I don't know how you have the time to do what you do, but tell us just a little bit about who you are, and then we'll get into your story and all the nuts and bolts of what makes Terilee.
Oh, thanks for that. Hey, it's so great to be here. I'm coming to you this evening as we record from Houston, Texas. And while I am an American, I've just been residing again in the U.S. for just a little over 2 months now. I've lived the past 5 years in Singapore. And my business, my passion, I love networking and connecting people. And so business networking has been my business now for about 15 years. And I was able to work remotely overseas. And it was always my mission, my intention to build an online business that could pick up my laptop and take it with me when the time came to return back to the States. And what a relief it's been to be able to do that. So I'm just back in becoming used to being a Texan these days and doing some work, and we live close to family, and it's been it's an exciting time of change.
I love that. Love all of that. So tell us a little bit about your overcoming story. What are some of the things that you've had to overcome to get to where you're at today?
I think about my story, and Dorothy, the thing that comes to mind for me is that at my age, so I'm 55 sitting here before you all today. And at my age, when I grew up, we didn't have the internet, so we couldn't just Google everything. We Google everything these days, right? And so what I talk about, my story of overcoming, is a story that 1 in 5,000 women have, but no one talks about it. It just seems more in recent years, because of the internet and people can communicate, search for things, that it's becoming more of a hot topic. And so in my case, I was born with a rare condition, and it meant that I had an underdeveloped reproductive system. And it shows up in different ways. You may see on the news that there are women who are getting uterus transplants. Have you seen any of them?
No, I can't say that I have.
Well,
But I
they're
don't
out
watch the
there.
news.
They're out there. They're out there, and it's a topic. In my case, at the age of 12, I was different than all of the girls, and I was told that I was born without a vagina, and I had to have surgery to begin having my period. Now, I can say that to you and not flinch and not be crazy, but the thing about when we grow up is that it's hard to like yourself anyway. And that you can take on all the things, many people have in their story. And I imagine everyone you talk to on the show, all humans have been through something. We all have a story. Every story is different, right? And sometimes in our lives, it's what people have done to us, or about the things we've done. Sometimes some of our overcoming can be about how we're made. And so that's the crux of my story, because I took what information I had, and I talk about not liking yourself, no confidence, no worth, no self-love, right? It wasn't that somebody did something to me and like their words stuck to me, their actions stuck to me. I woke up every day and I beat myself up.
Right.
I beat myself up for 30 years, and how does that show up in our life? Well, it shows up in all kinds of strange ways, because when you don't love yourself, what are you going to attract in your life? I'm looking for love in all the wrong places.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I do on the outside, I wanted everything to be look perfect, because then people wouldn't get close. I thought that would make me like, when I got all A's or got good jobs or did certain things in my life, right? I was able to look good on the outside, but yet there was all this yuck on the inside. So
Mm.
so every time I would reach some level of success, I would always self-sabotage.
Can totally relate to that. And
Mhm.
oh my gosh, everything you're saying, like the, not having the self-esteem and things to get through that. I can totally relate. And I'm sure there's other women out there that have the same things, right? So how did you allow yourself to get past that and
Mm.
become the confident woman that you are today?
I think that eventually, as I went from like being someone who worked in the corporate world, where again, because of all the things I had going on, I always like did well in school and stuff. So like that served me. I wasn't like I ended up being like a single mom because of circumstances and all the things, but I wasn't like a poor single mom. I was a
Mhm.
functioning single mom, right? Responsible, functioning single mom. Um, but it was when I switched over into running my own business and hanging around with people and exploring a little bit about personal and professional development, right? I found myself at Starbucks with a coach who was asking me questions. And when I told him what was going on in my life, so this is 30 years later, right? I was telling him about how I'm unorganized. I'm unorganized. Like my house looks clean, but every drawer, every cupboard is all messed up. And he's like, tell me about your childhood. And the thing is, Dorothy, I'd stuffed my childhood a long time ago. Like I didn't want to deal with that, right?
Right.
And so he got me thinking, because I was like, well, I had a great childhood, and then I went, but I was sick a lot. So that night, 30 years later, I went to what I didn't have access to, and I went on the internet and I start searching. And that's when I found out. That's when I found out that I wasn't alone, because I thought I was the only one. I thought I was made different than all other girls for 30 years. Mhm.
Wow.
Wow.
That
Mhm.
is amazing. And that's the whole premise of why we do this show, because number one, we all have a story, and number two, I had felt in my life alone a lot of the time, going through, having parents that were sick all the time and being by myself a lot, and all of it, the low self-esteem, the bullying, all that crap that went with that. I knew that I wasn't the only one, and by sharing our story, we help each other out. So good for you for taking that initiative and really, finding your tribe to help you
Yes.
through those moments.
Yes, yes, and it takes a while. It takes a while. But the one thing that I have learned is that every time we tell our story, it's healing to us and healing to others. And in the beginning, when I went to tell my story, I have to tell you, you know me, I was speaking at business networking meetings all the time. Like it was my full time thing. I spoke like 5 days a week. And when I went to like tell my story for the first time, the real
Mhm.
story, it was like I had the worst cotton mouth I've ever had in my life. And like, imagine you had a cabin in the woods that you hadn't turned the water on for years, and you finally turn the water on, the water starts to come out and it's not coming out. Like,
Mhm.
putting that story out the first time was like painful, painful, but important, right? Right? Because it is so huge, as you know, to be able to be comfortable in your own skin,
Mhm.
to to not to not flinch, to not feel the shame, to not be embarrassed. Like that is where confidence can come from, is when you can love yourself as you are.
Yeah. So when was the first time you shared your story?
Okay. So I discovered online, and the one powerful thing I need to share is, because I think that they say, it says in the good book that the truth will set you free, and I believe that's true. I believe that's true. So not only did I discover that I was one in 5,000 women and I wasn't alone, but I also discovered I'm here I've been able to conceive and birth my own children. And my condition is called MRKH syndrome. It runs on a spectrum. So with the abnormalities that the ladies have. And so here's the deal. Most people don't find out when they're 12 and they can't start their period and they need to have an operation. Most find out when they're older and they don't have enough uterus to ever have a period, right? And so it is a miracle that I was able to have my kids. And for me, it's like I thought I was drunk for 30 years and here I was a miracle the whole time and had no clue.
Don't you just love when God just turns that around? It's like we think that we're like no good and that we're past our prime at such a young age, but God is just like working in us at every
The
stage
whole
of life.
time, and we don't even know it. Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. Wow. I love all of that. And so after sharing your story for the first time, like that must have been empowering for you though. You know, because
It
you
it
when
was. Mm-hmm.
I find like when we bring our secrets or
Mm-hmm.
our whatever you want to call them, when we bring it to light, it's like it has no power over us anymore.
Correct,
How
correct.
was that with you?
Correct. Yes, I think that we make it out to be bad, and then we stuff it down, and it festers down there and seems way worse than it is. And what I found is that people just love you more. People just, if you will be real with people, people crave that, and people will just love you more. I took. So what? 42. It took me a couple years, but I ended up I've written multiple books, but I actually wrote my story back in 2013. I can't believe it's been 10 years ago now. But that was very cathartic too, putting everything out in writing about everything and the whole experience. And the whole crux of it would be to overcome shame, to be the person God made you to be.
Oh, that's deep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I know, okay, so for me and my experiences, healing has been like an onion. You know, you think you've gotten to a place and then you get like triggered and then you just realize it's just another whole layer of
Yeah.
healing that needs to be pulled back, right?
Yep.
And then you think you're good and then something else will happen and then you're like, oh, and then I thought I dealt with that and it just releases more. Would you say that would be accurate for what you've gone through?
I have to tell you, so my work with entrepreneurs and business owners, yes, it leads me into a lot of personal and professional development coaching situations. And they'll be like bringing something up and I'll go, I thought I dealt with that for the 50th time, Yes, no, but it's okay if you think about it. I mean, some of this stuff is so deeply enrooted in us for
Mhm.
so long. It's such an age, and it's some of it, as all of you know, it's so painful. It can be so painful. And so I guess it makes sense that there's the continued layers and just like the check-ins to make sure we're okay. Because sometimes I want to say, like, pinch me, like, is this real? Like, is this really real that this is how this has gone down? And I'm so grateful for the life I have today. I left out some of the most exciting parts of my story are, in looking for love in all the wrong places. I ended up married at one point to someone that was married to someone else at the same time he was married to me. He lied to me
Wow.
about everything I knew about him. I mean, there was some like movie of the week stuff going on in my life for a while, and now I'm grateful for the life I have today. My
Right.
life doesn't have to be a mess like that.
Okay, so I didn't know that part about your story. You left
Yeah,
that out when you and I
yeah,
first talked. So that's
it's a good one. It's a good one. It's like the twists and turns. Yeah.
it's like a soap opera, and I love it because
Yes.
I've always said that my life up till now has been like a soap opera,
Mhm.
and it's just like it's either Days of Our Lives or As the World Turns. So it's just like one thing after another, and wow. So how okay, this may be a stupid question, but how did you feel when you found out that you married somebody that did that to you? What do they call it? Monogamy?
I
I don't
was
know.
mad. Bigamy.
Bigamy. Thank you.
I was so mad. I was so mad at him, at me, mad at men. I don't know why I was mad at men, but I was mad at men. Yeah, no, I was quite upset. Yep. Hmm.
Wow. Now, is he the father of your children?
He is the father of my daughter. Yes,
Oh
yes,
boy.
and you know what? For the most part, like if you would have known us then, and to know how, I mean, he has like really been there for her. She's 28 now.
That's
And
good.
the fact, and not to say that he is problem free in his life, right?
Right.
Because that's a whole other story. But today I can honestly, I feel compassion. I feel bad for him that that's the place he has been in all this
Right.
time, right?
Mhm.
And gosh, hurt people hurt people.
Yep.
Someone
We
hurt him. There's a reason. Hurt people hurt people. And then
Mhm.
also, what are we attracting? Like, here I was and I couldn't be real. And so what did I pick? The steroids of someone who wasn't being real. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Insane.
I totally get that. And okay, so I can totally relate because, ultimately we pick our partners, right? And
Yeah.
I can remember after I met my husband, like during the whole process, it was okay. So I've never shared this, but I knew to the depths of my being that it would be one of my family members already knew my husband. I didn't know who it was in my praying time, and that I was just like, and I had in my head that it was my uncle, my mom's brother. And I'm just like, who the heck does my uncle know? Like, he's an engineer for one of the train companies here in Canada. I mean, at that time, and he's retired now. But I'm like, who does he know? All he does is golf, and he comes home. Like, who would he know, right? So I'm like, not that I was disputing it. And my uncle's an amazing guy, and I would trust anybody that he had brought. But so I let it go, and then I was on this dating site called Zoosk, and this guy popped up. And make a long story short, I met him, and for the first time in my life, I'm like, I love this guy, but I kept it to myself. In finding out who he really was, his dad and my uncle used to golf together.
Wow. Okay.
And my husband is the perfect combination of my mother, my father, and my brother.
Wow. So great. So great.
I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'm just like, so when you said that, I was just like, oh my, that just like opened up a whole new can of worms right there.
It is. It is. I will bring out cans of worms. Just invite me, and I'll bring them out. Yeah.
That is so
Mm.
hilarious. And the funny thing is, I never met my father in law. He had passed away a couple of years before I met him. And so my uncle has gotten to meet him. And so, I hear some stories from my uncle about my father-in-law. So it's just weird how God works in mysterious ways, right?
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I think that's the thing is in my okay. So I've been married now to my husband Terry for 20 years, and I knew our 20th anniversary of our first date's coming up like next week or something like that. It's very, very soon. It's very
Congratulations.
soon. And like I knew the day I met him, I was like, oh, this is more like it. It's like, oh, and I was like, I could spend the rest of my life with someone like this.
Right.
And the life we've led, that's the other thing. We can have trauma, issues. We can have a past, and God can still use us. Terry was a former minister. We've been in ministry over these last 10 years. We served he was at a church in Southern California before he was the dean at a Bible college in Singapore. That's why we were in Singapore for 5 years. Now we're back in the States, living in the States, and he's working with ministry leaders in East Africa. Like, you can have a past and still move on from it, and God will still use you. That is if I had any news for anyone, it doesn't mean that things are over for you. Have we sometimes in entering new works had people talk to us about our past? Yes. Okay. Yes, we did. But don't think for a second that you can't be used, because you can. Mm.
Absolutely. And how ironic that your husband's name is Terry and you're
Yeah.
Terilee. Like, really, God? Seriously? That is hilarious. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
And like you said, now God's using your testimony to help
Mhm.
other and reach more. You're gonna reach more with your story than anybody else will, because number one, you're willing to share it, and number two, it's like the shame is gone that
Yep.
was there before. And like when we bring that light to it, it's the darkness fades. And so we're all just people, and you can relate to different people because you've gone through the low self-esteem, you've gone through all that, and that's incredible. The amount of people that your ministry is reaching is incredible.
I'm very blessed. Very blessed.
And an opportunity to live in Singapore now. Hello.
Yes, yes. That was I know that that will always be one of the highlights of our life. Yeah, very unexpected. Never thought about it ever, and now it almost feels like a dream.
So you said Africa maybe next?
Well, my husband will be traveling back and forth to.
Oh,
Right now we're going to stay in the States in Houston near our granddaughters, and then travel back and forth. So
right.
yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. That's exciting. Right. Because I think after the first time we talked, you had said that you had another grandbaby being just born.
She's like a month old.
Oh, that is so exciting.
Yeah.
Woohoo. That is
Mhm.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. It is.
That is great. So tell us a little bit then why you decided to do like well, obviously online so that you could be anywhere, but why have, because you have like an not network marketing, but a networking group that you
Hmm.
have.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Back 15 years ago, I had started doing financial services and dabbled a bit in networking. And I was like, there's so many rules to financial services, all the compliance. And I was like, I like the networking part of my business better than this. And the funny story is, anyone who's networked at all knows I thought I was special. Okay. They were like, I said, could you expand your group here? And they go, no, but you can. And I thought I was being singled out and I was special. I didn't know that everybody always wants people to lead their groups. Okay. But anyway, I fell for it. And I've been networking ever since. And it's been my main business all these years. So I did lots of face-to-face networking in the greater LA area for many years. Uh, but then online networking was a hard sell pre-COVID. Everyone said, I can't network on screen. And they just didn't know, right? They didn't know that they would have to. So at the time that COVID went down, I'd already been in the space about a year and a half. And
Oh,
so
wow.
now these days, people have been through the full gamut. So they have had to network online. They didn't have any choice. Now they're back to having options. And now there's so many networking online options. I have all the competition in the world, but I believe that this might be something we'll talk about in a minute. I believe there's plenty for everyone. And we might not talk about that. I don't know. And like at this point, I'm like, asking myself, what can I do to keep it new and fresh? Because we've been doing this online now for a couple of years. And what I love is, Dorothy, we would have never met if it wasn't for online networking, right? I mean,
Exactly.
you meet
That's
amazing people from everywhere, from the comfort of your home or office. Hello. How cool is that?
And okay, so I have to say, first of all, I just want to go into the comments here and say hi to Solomon. Solomon's here with
Hey,
us.
Simon.
Welcome. And you're right. Okay, so I have done in-house networking, like in-person networking since I was my first business when I was 18 years old. And I'm definitely not 18 now. So I mean, I've done 20 plus years of networking, and I always felt that they were cliquey.
Mm,
So you would get women, especially women, they go and they know somebody, so they'll grab them and then they'll have a drink with them. And then, no one brings the new person into the fold. So I always
yeah.
felt, and back then I wasn't like I am now, where I could say, hey, my name's Dorothy, I always felt very awkward. And that was who I was back then. And I was still getting over my crap. So I find though that this online networking breaks that away, because not only does everybody have a time. And then depending, I know with yours, there's breakout rooms. So
Mhm.
you get to meet a group of people more intimately, and then you come back and then you meet more people. And I'm finding like that everybody's on the same platform, like the same level, meaning
It's the
that,
same level playing field, all the same
yeah,
squares, right? Hmm.
exactly. So like seriously, movie producers. I've been introduced to movie producers and things like that, which is right exactly who I need right now, because we're pitching our veteran series to a network. And so today I was having a meeting, but something must have come up because she didn't show up, which is fine. I mean, that's the way the world works. Everybody's busy. um but I mean, we would never have met, and then it continues to grow. Like, I also said, okay, wait, there's this other group, maybe you want to tap into them too. Get the women from over here. Let's see who can do that. And I'm finding that the I have like 100 people that I have to follow up with yet that I haven't even been able to get to.
Yeah,
Of
I'm
one
saying.
week, I did networking meetings. Three networking meetings in one week. I was just like exhausted. So I haven't even been able to get back to my list to find these people. But I mean, still, like, that is just what the power of it is. Like, you have unlimited people to talk to,
Yep,
and I just love it.
yep, me too. Me too. That's what keeps me coming back. Yep.
Exactly.
Whoops. And then this happens. I'm just kidding. You.
Oh, that happens to me all the time. That happens to me all the time. So I okay, so you do this. Now are you do you help people publish or write books as well?
So I do coaching and training regarding networking and content. So I love to help people. I think that networking and the content you put out, they're very much go hand in hand. In the old days, I would meet you face to face, and then I would go look you up and connect you. Well, these days, more often than not, I might find you online,
Mhm.
and then I connect with you online, right? So
Right.
so what we put out there, talk about the need to be authentic, the need to be who you really are, right? If we do business with those we know, like, and trust, we better show up as ourselves, right? No need to
Mhm.
hide who we are or be someone we're not.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with that. It's funny. 2 years ago, I had a coach that said, I want you to go live. Pick up your phone and go live every day on Facebook. Back then, I was only on Facebook. That was my first platform I had started. And I'm like, you're crazy. There's no freaking way I'm going to pick up my phone and go live for the world to see me. She goes, well, then you don't want it bad enough.
Uh-huh.
So it was like 7 o'clock at the 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, okay, God, what is today's message? What is today's message? What do people need to hear? So he gave me something. I forget what my first talk was. So before I could lose my nerve, I got my phone. I did back then you just had to push the Facebook live button before doing all this other crap.
Yeah.
And I just shared what was on my heart. I was shaking so bad I thought I was gonna die. But she said go live 6 days a week. That's what I did. If I would not have done that the first year, there's no way ever that in my beginning of my second year that I would have my own show, not one but two, nor would I have had the confidence to just look up on LinkedIn, see these executive producers, and just reach out to them. Today, I reached out to Richard Branson because why not? Why
Yay, that's
not?
awesome.
And it's funny because you don't think that people are watching you.
Mhm.
Maybe a lot of people won't comment, and then one day you're sitting at the toilet at work in a clearing call, and you happen to look at your LinkedIn messages, and it says somebody has taken your video that you just did this morning, reposted it, not only gave you kudos for being and showing up and who you are, but taking Richard Branson in it as well.
Nice.
Like, I can't make this stuff up. So you're right. By being authentically who you are and showing up for everybody else and sharing your story, being vulnerable, being authentic
Yep.
is what people want. People don't want some made up version story of BS of who who you think they want to know. People want to know the real you.
They do.
Absolutely.
They do, and they love it and they crave it, and a lot of them wish they could be like that.
Right.
So when you stand up and you're bold, it helps them be bold too.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. Who knew that we'd go down this rabbit hole? But anyways.
No guarantees with me, girl.
So tell us more. There's got to be more about Terilee. Tell us something that the world doesn't know about.
Well, all right. So, funny you should ask. Okay. So, one fun fact I say about me is that I have a Supergirl cape and I'm not afraid to wear it. So, I first got my Supergirl cape, I want to say around 2015. I was with our church youth group at Six Flags Magic Mountain near Los Angeles, and they had all the superhero capes. And I saw the Supergirl cape, and I thought, oh, those capes are the coolest. And so I didn't get one that day. I don't know why, but someone else grabbed me one. And the message regarding that, so it's hanging in. It's hanging in my office. I do wear it from time to time. It will come to meetings with me. It's traveled the world. It's been to India. Little kids love to wear the cape.
Love
but
it.
but the really the message about sometimes, we need to be the hero in our life first and work on ourselves first before we can go out and save all the world, right? But yet there is that concept that many of us have is we have gifts and talents to share with the world, and we don't put that cape on, and we don't play big. We don't get up every day to go serve all the people, and yet there are people that are looking for us, right? So that's where some of the cape comes from. So you may see the cape on some of my social media profiles. We don't have any Houston cape pictures yet, but we will for sure. The cape's starting to get a little worn out. I think the cape needs version 2.0. But a few years ago, while we were in Singapore, I found myself not well, and they were really concerned that I wasn't going to make it at the time. And I think it was my husband that asked if he could bring the cape to the hospital. And he says, I want them to know who they're dealing with here.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love
So he hung
it
it behind my bed, and that was pretty good. It was pretty good. And then it is funny because in the States, if you wear the cape, everyone's like, that's so cool. That's so cool. And my dear Singaporean friends are much more conservative. So like in the times when we didn't know what was happening with me, I would wear the cape to the cancer center, like waiting for appointments and stuff like that. And I would ask Terry if people notice, and he goes, oh yeah, they notice, but they pretend they don't see it, So it was just like a little too much for them, Whereas I would be like, where did you get that? Or I love your cape, So
Yes.
yeah, I quit wearing the cape once we knew I would be okay. Because I take it very seriously hanging around the cancer center. There are people there. I do have a chronic blood cancer, and I'm on medication every day. But there are people there on the fight of their life that are so ill, and I honor them. I wouldn't run around in the cape knowing that I feel better than 99% of them. So I quit. I backed that off. But who knows? I can never promise when the cape will appear again.
Where were you when we were doing our 24-hour LLS marathon for blood cancer? Like, where were you? I had no idea. I didn't know you back then.
Well, invite me next time. I'm in, man.
Well, we were doing Man and Woman of the Year with my good friend Tim Sohm, who is a 15-year leukemia survivor,
Oh,
and
bless
he
him.
finally is cancer free
Bless
at the
him.
moment. So we decided we were going to do a 24-hour fundraiser. And then if that wasn't enough, we decided to do a 12-hour fundraiser. And we raised close to $15,000, I believe it was,
Oh no! If
in
you
the
do it
90 days.
again, let me know. I would love to. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to connect you because he also has a Showing Up with Cancer Perspectives show
Oh,
on Tuesday
okay.
nights.
That is amazing because I also from time to time will talk about it because not everyone is in this physical journey right now, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are carrying their own physical journey, right? And yet we go on and we do what we have to. We go on and do the things. And whether, today I visited my new hematologist in Houston, and today I took a nap. And like I could go on and say, what qualifies as whatever, but we're all getting up and we're doing the things anyway. Yeah,
Right.
it's part of our life. hmm
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't know that part about you either.
Oh, there's
Because
so much.
I would have shared with you that I lost my dad a year ago.
Oh,
Well, 11 months ago yesterday to
oh,
cancer.
I'm sorry.
And thank you. And so that was the whole point of me helping Tim. I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't have blood cancer, but I was just like, okay, that was important. And
hmm
so I get it when you say cancer fatigue. Because
hmm
after doing those 3 months, I've I loved him to death, but I had to take a step back from his show, from quit watching it, because I found myself that I was just like, okay, I can't handle another cancer story at that moment,
Yes.
because
Yes.
it is deep and it's heart wrenching. And to watch, like you said, those people that are hooked up to their chemo and having
hmm
radiation and stuff
hmm
like that, it's kind of hard to watch it here sometimes.
hmm
So
hmm I found so today was my first day like in the doctor's office here, and wasn't there long enough. Like I don't know if the people here will sit and chat with you. They were more quiet, as you can guess, is from what I said in the waiting rooms in Singapore all those years. For all the appointments, and you're sitting there. But I made a couple friends along the way, and when they don't make it, it's hard. Like in the beginning we didn't know what was happening with both of us, and then it was clear I was going to be okay, and then just, oh my goodness, yeah. Or somebody that I happened to meet, I just saw, he's in the hospital right now, so I'm like, hey Jason, um
mhm,
yeah, it's but you know what, we need each other.
absolutely.
We
And
need
so
each
yeah,
other, yeah. Compassion.
anytime.
Compassion, right?
Connect. Yes,
hmm
connect. Because we have a whole world out there. We have put together a whole. I always said it's funny because I always said that when we were going through that cancer journey, that there was always nurses, doctors, patients that were there. I mean, we sat when we could before COVID really hit. We sat in the
oh
waiting room and we made connections with different families.
yeah.
And it's almost like it's a cancer family,
hmm
right? Like when you
hmm
have something like that is life threatening, it makes things like all the small shit can just disappear. And so, building those relationships is what was important. So, yeah, anytime you're having one of your days, contact me. We'll get you out of it.
Hey, sounds great. Sounds great. Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Man, okay, we found way a lot to talk about that I didn't know.
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
there's just so much.
Yeah.
That is so much. But okay, so what how can people connect you then to get a part of your network, your
Mm.
networking group?
Mm.
Basically, what is the name of it, and where would you like people to contact you
Sure, sure,
about that?
sure. So I'm part of Team Referral Network. Team Referral Network's been around 20 years, mostly face to face and mostly like Los Angeles area. And now it's spread out some domestically in the US. I'm the one who took it global online back in 2018 is when we started that. So I would love to invite people. You can go Terilee Harrison on LinkedIn and message me and say, I heard you on Dorothy's podcast and you're crazy, and I would love to chat with you. I'd love to invite you to one of our meetings. We are for the borderless boundary people, the people that never need to meet a client face to face to do business, and you can connect with people, whether you are in Canada and you're looking for people in the UK, people in the US looking for people in Australia. We will help you make those connections with ease.
And it is an amazing group. Like I said, I joined the ladies and made some really good connections, really good friendships, that are lifelong. And for sure, it's definitely a great way to meet people from the seat of your home.
That's right. That's right.
And you have such an amazing badass like Terilee that is going to help you further your career along. Like,
Yep. Yep. Love to help.
Terilee's amazing.
I love meeting people and helping to connect them with who they need to meet.
Right. Yeah, because it said here that what are you most passionate about? And you said people connecting them to others so that they can reach their goals and dreams.
Yep.
So what is your biggest dream? What is your biggest dream? If I was a fairy
Mm.
godmother and I could wave, hey, look at this. Wave my magic wand.
Oh. Um,
What 3 wishes?
it would really be to serve the masses and be a household name and be able to I can teach networking at the highest level there is, and to be able to impart that to more and more business owners, because building relationships is really where it's at. We can do Facebook ads, right? And we can create our funnels, but with the right relationships and knowing how to grow relationships, leverage relationships, it can be so rewarding, not only in our life and like in our happy place, but in our bank account as well. So I think to continue to grow.
Awesome. Awesome. So definitely get a hold of Terilee on LinkedIn. Definitely a woman you want to get to know. And, if let's help Terilee grow so that she's a household name. Because
Ah,
I believe that we all, by helping each other out, yes, my American friends love when I say out or about.
out.
Out. Tim's always like, say out or say about, eh? Anyways, sorry, rabbit trail. I get on those once in a while. Um, well, and then yeah, like this show is going to be syndicated and picked up, so then you'll be on national TV.
Yay!
I'm bringing everybody with me because you're part of the family now. You're part of Unstoppable Overcomers and all that entails. So that's awesome. So what would you say is the next thing in the next 5 years? What do you see you and your ministry doing?
Oh, that I don't even know what to say about that. We've just begun. My husband took his first trip to East Africa, and just meeting the people. I've been to India 5 times, and over the last like 5 years, and that's including COVID. Like COVID, all your travel to a stop, but like I would do India like all the time, and all I had to do was look at his pictures of the people he met, and I just cried looking at them. They are so beautiful. Like I don't even know what's going to happen. We're just open. We're open to serving, loving them, helping them with starting Bible colleges, and helping them also on the side of starting vocations so that they can self-fund. Right, that's a big issue, is that for them to be able to self-sustain. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so we're open. We're definitely open. I don't know. In 5 years, have me back and ask me what happened. That'll be the trick.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
Deal. Oprah did it every 20 years. I'll do it every 5.
There we go. There we go.
There we go. I had to think. I had it all written down somewhere. The top 20 things that Oprah would do.
There you go. There you go.
So that's exciting though. And you're right. When you go to another country, you really have no idea. Before I met my husband, I turned 40 on my 40th birthday. I went to the Dominican,
Mm-hmm.
and I was serving with Servant Hearts Ministries. It was my very first missions trip ever. And when I first become a Christian, I had said to my spiritual mom, one of the things I got to do is be on a missions trip. So for a year and a half it took me before we finally went on our first one, and we were driving over. Yeah, we were flying over, and you see all these like huts, and you see the poverty, and you see everything like that, and the tears are just coming down my eyes before I even meet these people. And then we get there, we find our leader, did a debrief, went to the one of the schools,
Mm-hmm.
and to see these kids, I mean, they have nothing and they're so happy.
I know. I know.
And they're sitting there. They want you to sit there, braid your hair, then take your phone and take a picture. The one kid stole my sunglasses. I mean, I was like, I could do this for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
And, so I went from kids to vets. So I don't know. Maybe I might have to intertwine and do veterans and kids, and we'll have to go back and forth.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I this last trip to India before we moved, because it's a quick 3.5, 4 hour flight from Singapore to the east part of India where we would fly into. I had seen these kids now for several years. So like they know you. So number one, they love it when you visit, but when they know you, right? So we ended like an evening program and I went and I sat on the stage because I know they all want a picture with you, right? Most
Right.
of them have grown up now because in the beginning they all wanted a selfie on my phone and I realized how few selfies were on my phone because they had their own phones and they were taking them. But I went to the stage where we had finished the program and I just kind of went like this beside me. And within
Mhm.
3 minutes, this is not an exaggeration. There was like 40 kids all around me. There's me and 40 kids in this picture. And that's just how it is. And it's so wonderful just to be there for them. And they bless you far more than you bless them. But yeah, I could do it all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. So now comes the second half of our show. So we're going to bring up Kimberly and her special guest, Sarah.
Hi.
And so now I'm going to turn it over to Kimberly to do the fundamental section of the show. So, Kimberly, take it away.
Thank you. Terry, first of all, I cannot wait to connect with you this week, as everybody on the show gets to do, right? Because our Dorothy and my commitment that you're not just on the show, but you really are and are clearing for expansion. So just so love everything you're up to and you're creating in the world. And it's Dorothy, right? Like classic divine appointments. They just keep showing up. And we let Sarah know. So this is Sarah Johnson. She's in the Illinois area. And as far as roving reporter goes, I am in Tampa this week doing the work that Dorothy and I on mission. I'm on mission for Unstoppable Overcomers. And we have a big fundraising event for our not-for-profit camaraderie rescue that is this weekend in Key West. So that's where I
Nice.
am, right?
Nice.
And we, I let Sarah know, listen, we let the Holy Spirit run the show. And Dorothy doesn't tell me who's coming on, and I don't tell her who's coming on, and it never fails. They are literally always the perfect match for each other. So with that in play, and Terry, you're going to get to hear, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to let Sarah share. Sarah is the founder and owner of Mindful Family Management. And Sarah, why don't you go ahead and share about Mindful?
Sure. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me on the show. It's lovely to meet you, Terry Lynn. So I am Sarah Johnson, and I am the owner of Mindful Family Management, where we provide unique and distinguished childcare services. At Mindful Family Management, we're committed to helping families create harmony within and outside of the home. We do this by providing care around events, childcare around events, travel, and vacation. We also offer support around developmental milestones, such as toilet learning or potty training, sleep assistance, weaning, those kind of things. We also assist with communication. We do sign language, like baby sign language, because children can actually understand much sooner than they can articulate. So we use sign language to help them be able to communicate their needs, which helps to foster autonomy and self-confidence. So we're committed to helping families with young children who are maybe struggling or feel like they're drowning, or maybe are fine right now, but they want to stay ahead. They want to make sure that they don't reach that point of struggle with the next milestone that their child's about to come up upon. We also, like around the events, we support anyone planning events, such as maybe a reception, like a wedding reception, where you might want it to be kind of an adults only. The adults get to let loose and have a good time while the kids are being cared for and entertained somewhere else. That can also be corporate events, workshops, political canvases, even funerals, somewhere where you want the adults to be able to be present, but it's still kind of a family event. So the kids are going to be there, So yeah, that's who I am. That's what I do. And, you can find me, there are other services that I offer, and you can find those at mindfulfamilymanagement.com. And that's also where you can find me.
Isn't she awesome?
That's really great. And where were you located?
I'm in River Forest, which is just west of Chicago.
Great.
Yeah.
In case there's another Chicago. I don't know.
Yeah. And Sarah, you're open to being global, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So.
Yes, that's been a desire from the beginning, that it would be, because it has that travel and vacation element, that I'm happy to go with you wherever you want me to go.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hold your child on the plane so you don't get the dirty looks while they cry. Whatever you need, I'm there. Wherever you need, I'm there.
Beautiful. Perfect. And Terilee, especially like the things you're up to and the communities you're involved in, right? Like if people are coming together for mission work or, things like that, she could totally be on location working with their kids while so it's just, it's unlimited.
And awesome.
And Sarah, what's behind that for you? Like, because guys, I have the great fortune to know Sarah very intimately, and she is so passionate about children and families. And Sarah, I'd love for you to share with them from your heart, like what drives you. Because this girl is like so amazing. She can build.
I'm like, you're gonna make me cry before I starting.
That's the idea. That's my job.
So I guess like to answer that question, I kind of have to give you my life story a little bit. I lost my father to cancer when I was 8 years old, and my mother. Well, let's go back a little bit further. I was born into a community, a very close-knit community that you might call a cult. And my family, we didn't believe in birth control. My parents quickly had 5 children and then ended up leaving the church, leaving the community. My father was diagnosed with colon cancer and ultimately died from that. And so then my mother, who was 20, I don't think she was 30 yet when he died. She might have been early 30s, but so now she, having not even graduated high school, was left with 5 kids and did not handle it as well as some might think one should. So, it ended up that I ended up taking on the role of kind of household leader. I was doing the grocery shopping. I was trying to keep the house clean. I was trying to keep my younger siblings out of trouble. So that's kind of like where my child care journey began when I was a child. And, that continued into my professional life as an adult, where I became a professional nanny full-time, doing like nanny shares or personal, one-on-one situations. I did some daycare. I went to school for childhood education. I did the classroom work. I've been in a lot of different settings. But ultimately, I felt that starting this business would allow me to open up my availability to help more families. Because if I'm working with one family full time, I have the opportunity to teach them how to use the toilet one time for one family until they have another child, then, a second time for that family. But this way, I can potentially help all the families.
Mm-hmm. That's my girl. Yeah. Yeah. Not one family left behind. That's who
Right.
Sarah is. Not one. Not one. And she is tireless in her efforts. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you for opening up fully so people could really know who you are and what has us. We don't just let any sponsor come on our show, to be very clear.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Sarah.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. All right. Now, with that in play, time to hear your fundamentals. So which of you two would like to go first?
I'm happy
It's
to
you,
start.
Sarah. All right.
It's interesting that I am behind you or underneath you on your screen as well as mine. I feel like
Mine
that's
too.
not always the case when somebody points like, I see you over there. I'm like, I'm over there. What are you talking about? So the fundamentals. You just want me to list them?
You share them whatever way you'd like to.
Okay. So I'm going to share them. When you asked me the question, when you suggested that I come up with these three, the first immediate thing that came to mind was family. And then I had the afterthought of, well, not everybody has necessarily a family, or if they do, they may not prefer them. So I wanted to add, community to that, because I feel like family can be the people that you choose to surround yourself with. But I just think that like the main crux of it is that we have people to support us and for us to support. So then the second thing that came to mind was self-acceptance, which I think kind of goes hand in hand and is not really possible without self-awareness. Which then, kind of opened up to universal acceptance and just being open to the idea that everything is happening the way that it should, and that it's not all that hard. So, like in a word, I guess I would say maybe faith. And the last thing is music. Art. Whatever way art comes into your life, I think that that's really important, to have some way to express yourself through, and not even necessarily making music or art, but appreciation of those things is a really good way to just explore and be creative.
And fundamentally
dance.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah. Those were amazing. Amazing. All right, Terry.
Okay, so when I thought of the fundamentals, I think about my work fundamentals, but they really apply to all of life. And so my first one is that I'm looking for the people who are looking for me. So often in life, we're reaching out to people. We are trying to do what it is we need to do and possibly face rejection. And there's going to be some people that are your people, some people that aren't your people. And so that I'm looking for the people who are looking for me. Sometimes I'm like, yes, there's my people, right? So that's the number
tribe.
one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the first one. Number two, I think I let this cat out of the bag earlier. The concept of there's plenty for everyone. We don't have to be in competition. There is plenty for everyone on all fronts, and so I think that one is huge. And lastly, let's cheer each other on and help each other grow.
Oh. All right, everybody. Snaps.
Yay.
Snaps. Yes. Dorothy, snaps. Okay. All right. That's right. That's right. And snaps for all 6 of those fundamentals, because they are beautiful, they are lovely, and they are incredibly complementary to each other. So thank you, you guys, for giving the audience what can make a difference for them, and to really hear such amazing, unstoppable overcomers share tonight how beautiful life really can be. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Dorothy?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Dorothy, back to you.
Wow. This has been powerful. And I've been here typing in the comments. Sarah, I put your information in the comments for the people to look you up.
Thank you.
And anybody that wants to connect with Terilee, definitely all your Terilee's information is in the show notes. So connect with these amazing ladies. Like, these ladies are superheroes. They even have the cape to prove it.
Yes. And you know what, Dorothy? What's right there for me to say to the audience, whether you have a family or not, like if you're even thinking about having a family, or God has put on your heart to have a family, and for whatever reason you like think maybe that's not there for you, reach out to these women. Like, they will birth in that for you. I'm very clear on that. So
Absolutely. And I love what Sarah said. Family is the friends don't always have to be blood, it's the people that you choose. Trust
right,
me.
Dorothy? Sister.
Sometimes I prefer my family that I choose or my real family some days. And some days I would never do it. I would never give up my real family. But there are some days I would add to them.
You know, and I'm just really clear, like the illusion is that we're not all family. That's the bullshit story. Like, we are all sons and daughters of God. So we are one large family, united, and we keep pretending like we're not that. And when we give that up,
Could you
it'd be
imagine all
one
these?
heck of a family reunion.
Could you imagine my backyard? My husband will freak, but I love it.
Right? Yeah.
I love giving parties. I love giving parties.
Well, get ready for the 8 billion that are coming to your backyard.
Well, bring it on. Bring it on. And with that, I just want to thank our guests for showing up in the comments. And I want to thank our amazing guests that here on the show, Terilee and Sarah. Definitely, you ladies are amazing, or amazing, as our friend
Amazing.
Carrie says. Love to all. Be unstoppable in all that you do. And remember, same time, same channel next week. And bye for now.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.